So my last two videos have been related to the Winter Olympics, but you know what? I want to finish it off with one last Winter Olympic video, and I think this is the perfect one, because as you can see, we have a team full of only 0 overall players, and these 0 overall players, well, they want to win a Stanley Cup, and how are they going to do that? Well, they're going to do that through us spinning a wheel, and what wheel is that going to be? Well, it's the wheel of Winter Olympic teams. So we have our wheel right here that has all 12 countries in the Winter Olympics, and it looks like our first team is going to be Team Switzerland, so we're going to be adding a player from Team Switzerland. It's as simple as that. Now, Team Switzerland is definitely going to be giving us a great player because Roman Josi is an amazing option. Nico Hischier is a great option. Kevin Fiala, Siegenthaler, Timo Meier, Nito Niederreiter. You can't go wrong with any of these players right here. However, there's one thing I haven't mentioned so far that is going to make this video slightly more difficult. We need to create a team that fits within the salary cap. So Roman Josi, you're a great player. However, you do have a pretty hefty contract. Nico Hischier, you're making less money than Roman Josi, around $7 million per year. So do we want to go with the $7 million player in Nico Hischier or the $9 million defenseman Roman Josi? I mean, Roman Josi would be a great defenseman. However, we do have to try to save as much money as possible, and I don't really think the 4 overall jump is really going to make the difference here. So Nico Hischier, you're going to be the first player we bring to the team. So we have our first player on the team from Team Switzerland. Nico Hischier is going to be joining, and as of right now, you're surrounded with 0 overall players, and that's not really ideal. But over the next handful of spins, we're going to continue to add some elite NHL players to this team, and I think we can all agree it's only a matter of time before this team wins the Stanley Cup. But for now, let's go 0-82. But while we go ahead and lose every game this season and probably not even score a goal, if you want your country to win the Winter Olympics, then make sure you subscribe to the channel, because obviously subscribing to the Stick on the Ice channel gives your country a better chance at winning the Winter Olympics. Clearly, those two things are correlated. Now, with season number 1 coming to an end, the Waterloo World are going to be finishing dead last with an 0-82 record. They didn't even score a single goal this season. But there was one incredible thing that happened this season. The fact that we actually got through the entire season, and the fact that Nico Hischier and Arthur Fonzarelli both took shots, so we actually took 2 shots this season. Very surprising. But yeah, we made through the entire season in year number 1. The game didn't crash or freeze on us. Honestly, we've been looking forward to times like this. Times where we could get through an entire season without the game freezing or crashing. It's an amazing day. The Islanders are Stanley Cup champions. That's going to be us in a matter of about 19 spins. So if it's 19 spins away, we better keep on spinning the wheel here, and it looks like the next team we're going to be landing on is Team Sweden. They definitely have some great players for us to select from, but the player we're going to go with might be a little bit surprising. Alright, so we ran into a slight issue here with the player that I wanted to select. So basically, over the past 2 videos, I've been on a different custom roster than this one. The custom roster I'm on right now has all of my 0 overall players, and I want to make sure I had all those players. The one I've been previously working on, I went through all the Olympic teams and updated them, because clearly some of these players aren't actually at the Olympics. Like Jonas Brodin is hurt, so he's not at the Olympics, so technically we can't go with Jonas Brodin, even though he's on Team Sweden. But the player I was looking for actually plays for the Minnesota Wild, and it's not Gustafsson, but instead Jesper Wallstedt. Now I might be thinking, why am I going with Jesper Wallstedt this early in the video? We have to remember he's on his entry-level contract. Jesper Wallstedt as an 85 overall goaltender for like 950k is an amazing pickup here. Like, yes, I could go with a better player like William Nylander right now, but that's going to be an $11 million cap hit. I want to make sure that we have enough money for this team in the future, so taking a guy like Jesper Wallstedt right now kind of makes a bit of sense. The last thing we want happening is when we're making selections 16, 17, 18, and 19 that we basically have no cap space whatsoever, and we're just taking the worst players imaginable. I want to make sure that we have some cap space saved up for those later round selections, so going with a guy like Jesper Wallstedt here, it kind of makes a bit of sense in my head. So hopefully you guys see the vision the way I see the vision. Jesper Wallstedt, welcome to the team, an 85 overall goaltender. We're going to be able to start competing in some of these games. More than likely, we're still going to get completely blown out because we only have 2 NHL players on the team, but at least we only have 1 0 overall goaltender now, and that's Eric Hartman. I mean, let's not get it twisted. We're still losing every game this season. However, we won't get blown out in all of them. Yeah, so I kind of forgot this can happen from time to time. The game crashed on us. I shouldn't be surprised at this. So yeah, it's time for us to go ahead and spin the wheel again. Now, I guess there is one positive to take away from last season. We didn't technically get blown out in every game, because we didn't play in any games, so we didn't lose any games either. So technically, we went undefeated last season. Alright, so I'm about to look like the biggest hypocrite in the world. You remember how I said I wanted to save money with our last selection, so I brought in Jesper Wallstedt? Yeah, it's time to spend all of our money. We're going to move over to Team Finland, and Mikko Rantanen, welcome to the team. That is a lot of money right there. but truthfully it's worth it. A 94 overall sniper, we could definitely use one on the team. Like, I'm perfectly fine with spending money when it comes to some of the superstars on this team, but we do have to be careful because we can't be giving everyone big money. Like, ideally we do try to save money for Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon because we definitely want those guys in the future. Whether or not we're going to be able to afford all of them, well, that's a completely different question. So Mikko Rantanen's going to be joining the top line alongside Nico Hischier, two guys we're paying a decent chunk of money to. Nico Hischier 7.2 million, and then Mikko Rantanen $12 million. Luckily, Jesper Wallsted's on a very cheap contract, so these two cap hits aren't going to hurt us too much right now, but eventually we will have to be prepared to bring in some cheaper players. So I guess that really begs the question, who is more valuable on Team Canada, Connor McDavid or Macklin Celebrini? Because if we bring in Macklin Celebrini, we're bringing in a player on their entry-level contract. So bringing in a super cheap player like that definitely has some extra value. However, he's not Connor McDavid, and that means something as well. Now let's keep it a $150. Would it really be a stick on the ice video if it didn't crash and then freeze on us the following season? Absolutely not. The Waterloo World is going to start the season 0-9, but unfortunately we can't simulate any more games after this one. So yeah, we have to go ahead and spin the wheel once again. Something about the game crashing and freezing and stick on the ice videos, well, it's just right. We landed on Slovakia, and I already know which player I'm bringing to the team. Now, when it comes to Slovakia, I've actually changed my mind. Originally, I was thinking Dalibor Dvorsky, and then the next option was Martin Ferivari, but Nemec makes the most sense. An 85 overall who's on his entry-level contract, he's 1 overall less than Martin Ferivari, however, he's getting paid like $3 million less. So Nemec, we're going to go with you here. Like, in no universe am I going to bring Slakowski to the team, like we just can't afford his $7 million cap hit, but I also think $7 million for an 86 overall just doesn't make that much sense. Like, Martin Ferivari is the exact same overall, but he's getting paid $5 million less, so it makes way more sense to bring him to the team. But Nemec is 1 overall less than him, and he's getting paid $2 million less. So yeah, Nemec, welcome to the team. You're going to be our first defenseman. Now, Nemec, although you are the first defenseman we're bringing to the team, I need you to play forward minutes this season. Like, you'd be playing by yourself on the defensive pairings, then we would have a 0 overall with these two forwards right here. It doesn't really make sense. So you're going to be playing first line left wing minutes this season. I mean, at the end of the day, whether or not you're a forward or a defenseman, it doesn't really matter. Just help us get through the entire season. I don't want this game crashing or freezing again. Alright, the game has crashed 5 times in a row now. I've given up with trying to get through this season. Let's just spin the wheel again. Like, am I really surprised it crashed 5 times in a row there? Absolutely not. We're going to be landing on Team Latvia, and this decision's actually a bit more difficult than you would think. Now, the reason I said Latvia is actually a tougher selection than you would think is because Shilov would actually be a very good pickup here. However, do I trust our goaltending tandem enough then? Like, we'd be running Shilov and Jesper Wallsted. Is that good enough? Like, an 85 and an 83 in theory should be good enough to help us win. Shilov's on an amazing contract, but maybe we just go with Teddy Bluger. He's on a cheap deal, 1.8 million. He's an 81 overall. He can definitely play some fourth line minutes for us in the future. I think we're going to go with Teddy Bluger for now, and if we do have to bring in Shilov in the future, well, we'll have to land on Latvia again. That really shouldn't be too difficult. Now, Teddy Bluger, I'm not too worried about what you're going to be doing in our top 6 this season. I'm just worried on whether or not we're going to be able to get through the season, because I have a feeling because we still have a 0 overall in our top pairing, it's not going to be possible. Then again, if we're being completely honest, it's all up to luck. Luck allows you to get through the entire season. It has nothing to do with how good my team is right now, or I guess how bad my team is right now. It is solely dependent on how much luck we have. There is no way it just crashed 3 games in. It really just crashed about 3 seconds after I finished my sentence. We're going to run it back again because I refuse to quit right here. Alright, so the game ended up crashing another 5 times in a row, so I've just given up with simulating this season with Teddy Bluger. So we're going to spin the wheel, and it looks like we're landing on Czechia. This is a tough decision for sure. Do I go with David Pastrnak or not? So we landed on Czechia as our next country, and the question is, do we go with David Pastrnak? He's a 95 overall and makes a lot of sense. Marty Necas also makes a lot of sense here, and he actually might make more sense. Like, David Pastrnak is almost double the cap hit of Marty Necas, and it's only a 3 overall difference, and Marty Necas would be a great playmaker for Mikko Rantanen. We're going to pass up on David Pastrnak here. This is likely the wrong decision, and if you think I'm an idiot for this, I can't really argue with you. But Marty Necas, we're going to go with you over David Pastrnak here. We could use a playmaker on the team. His contract's only $6.5 million. I feel like it makes more sense than David Pastrnak's contract. Now, the first line's looking really good for us. Marty Necas, Mikko Rantanen, Nico Hischier. I can't complain about any of these guys. We have Teddy Bluger on the second line alongside 2 0 overalls. Eventually, we'll give him a little bit of support. But you know who else needs support? Nemec. He is surrounded with only 0 overall players right now. We need to get him another elite defenseman. Now, the Waterloo world have been looking forward to a time like this. And I'm not talking talking about getting through the entire season, a 2-win campaign. We won 2 games this season. I never thought I'd see the day. We didn't even average a goal per game, but we still walked away with 2 victories this season. Why do I feel like we beat the St. Louis Blues twice? I don't know. That's likely what happened, but that's neither here nor there. Mikko Rantanen 58 points, Murray Nature's 57, Nico Hischier 55. They were all lighting the lamp this season. And then when it comes to Jesper Wallstedt, 2 wins, a 909 to 525. I never should have questioned this man. Shout out to our Stanley Cup winner, which is going to be the Buffalo Sabres. But which 2 teams did we beat? I need to know which 2 teams the Waterloo World beat, because truthfully, there's no reason we should have been able to beat anyone. We were not that good of a team this season, yet we were able to walk away with 2 victories. It just doesn't make sense. Now, when it comes to one of our victories, that came against the Winnipeg Jets, where we took them down 2-1. How did you guys only score 1 goal against us? I have no clue, but it is what it is. And then our other victory came against the LA Kings, where we beat them 2-1. Once again, how did you guys only score 1 goal? It doesn't really make any sense. That's neither here nor there. The Waterloo World won 2 games this season. We beat the LA Kings and Winnipeg Jets 2-1. You just love to see it. You really do. So now that we have a little bit of motion, I think it's about time we start winning a couple more games. We're going to be landing on Denmark. For a second, I thought it was going to be Team Germany, but we have Denmark instead. And I don't believe there's too many options for us to go with. Now, Team Denmark doesn't have a ton of NHL players to select from, but I think we are just going to keep this one really simple. We're going to go with a goaltender, and that goalie is going to be Freddie Anderson. Now, he's only an 84 overall, so that means we're going to have to rely on Jesper Wallstedt to be our Stanley Cup winning goaltender. But you know what? I believe in Wallstedt. Based on what he did last season with this team in front of him, I believe we can win with him. Like, there were 2 different instances where that man only allowed 1 goal in a game, and he had a ton of 0 overalls in front of him. So Jesper Wallstedt, I believe you can be our guy. Freddie Anderson, you're only getting paid 2.7, so that's an amazing contract for us to work with. So our goaltending tandem is set for the rest of the video. Jesper Wallstedt and Freddie Anderson. Probably not the 2 guys I was expecting to have in this video, but you know what? Both of them are on really cheap contracts relative to their overall. Like, Jesper Wallstedt is an 85 overall. You're getting paid 975k or something. Oh, you're getting paid 2.2 million. Why did I think you were still in your entry-level contract? I have been completely yapping this entire video about how you're getting paid 950k. You're actually getting paid 2.2 million. I mean, at the end of the day, that doesn't change anything. We're committing like $5 million to our 2 goaltenders, and I can certainly work with that. Why did I think he was still on his entry-level deal? I thought he had 1 more year on his entry-level contract. Shows you what I know. Now, Freddie Anderson certainly helped our team. However, he didn't help us win more games. We actually won less games this season. A 178-3 record. We did have more points because of overtime losses, but yeah, we didn't see that much success this season. 61 goals for, I feel like that's less than last season. However, the reason it's less than last season is we're technically spending more time in the defensive end because Freddie Anderson's making more saves, meaning the puck is staying in the defensive zone more. It kind of makes sense. Because the defense and goaltending on this team is better, we're actually going to be performing worse. Freddie Anderson, you're going to be picking up the lone win this season. Jesper Wallstedt, 2 overtime losses, a 907 and a 535. We still have to improve this team quite a ton, so I'm not really too worried about our goaltending numbers right now. When it comes to the Stanley Cup winners, that's going to be the LA Kings taking down the Tampa Bay Lightning. I like the steps this team is taking, but I think we could use another superstar, preferably a superstar defenseman. So when it comes to a superstar defenseman, one team I'm thinking about is Team USA, but we're landing on Team Canada instead. I think I have to pass up on a defenseman to bring Connor McDavid to the team. I feel like it just makes sense. So we have $43 million left in cap space, and it's actually quite a bit. So spending $12 million on Connor McDavid here, it does make sense. He's a 98 overall. I'm not passing up on him. Yeah, I'm not passing up on 98 overall Connor McDavid. That would just be stupid. So by bringing him to the team, we're down to $30 million in cap space. That's perfectly fine. We can work with that. So Connor McDavid, welcome to the team. I can only imagine what you and Mikko Rantanen are going to do alongside each other. This team is looking really good right now. And then there's the defense. We do have to address that, and we should address it pretty quick. I mean, to be fair, if we didn't land on Team Canada, we would have brought in a defenseman. But we just happened to land on Team Canada, and I didn't want to pass up on a 98 overall. Now, with Connor McDavid on the team, obviously expectations are a lot higher for the Waterloo World. And they didn't reach those expectations whatsoever. They were actually worse than last season. In saying that, they did score more goals, so maybe they weren't actually worse than last season. They just didn't lose as many games in overtime as last season. So if you lose 1 less game in overtime, does that really make you a worse team? I don't think so. Connor McDavid, 71 points. Mikko Rantanen, 70 points. Nico Hischier, 44. Marty Nature's 35 points. We need some more help on this team, specifically some defensive help, because we need another great offensive defenseman. Nemec just can't be that superstar offensive defenseman for us. We need somebody else on the team. And ideally, we get that player from Team USA. because Quinn Hughes would make so much sense. He's on a reasonable contract. He's an amazing offensive defenseman. If we ever land on Team USA, we're going with Quinn Hughes. Until then, though, we might have to go with somebody else. We're going to be missing Team United States, and we're landing on Team Germany. Leon Draisaitl is available. I don't know what to do here. Now, this is the toughest decision of the video. Do we actually pass upon Leon Draisaitl? Like, yes, he is the best player possible here. He's a 96 overall. It makes a lot of sense to bring him to the team. However, that is a very hefty contract to bring to the team when we only have $30 million remaining. We still have to complete our bottom 6, and we need 5 defensemen. Can we do that with $19 million? I'm not too sure. Granted, when comparing his contract to some of the other deals here, it does make a little bit of sense. JJ Peterka is over $7 million, Mo Seider's over $7 million, Tim Stutzel's over $7 million, Lucas Reichel's an 80 overall, Nico Sturm's an 80 overall. I don't think they make a lot of sense. Draisaitl might make the most sense here, but then we only have $16 million remaining. His contract is like $14 million. I don't know if we can afford Draisaitl. If we bring Draisaitl to the team, we're definitely not going to be bringing a guy like Nathan McKinnon in. Do I want to take this risk? Do I want to take the risk of bringing a guy like Leon Draisaitl to the team? I'm not 100% sure. That is a very expensive contract that I'm not too sure if we can afford. If we brought in JJ Peterka, what's the cap situation look like? If we bring in JJ Peterka, we have an additional $6 million. He's an 86 overall. Taking JJ Peterka over Leon Draisaitl seems crazy. Like, that is a stupid decision, but it leaves us with more money. What if we went with Mo Seider? If we go with Mo Seider, we have $22 million left. Is there really a difference between him and JJ Peterka? They're getting paid relatively the same amount of money, so we're going to go with Mo Seider. Mo Seider is going to be brought to the team. We're passing up on 96 overall Leon Draisaitl. I know this is a bad decision, but we're trying to stay under the cap, and we need cap space. So with the addition of Mo Seider, we're 11 players away from completing this team, and we have about $22 million. So on average, we can spend about $2 million per player moving forward. That is going to make things very difficult. I mean, to be fair, one easy way to save money is land on Team Italy or land on Team France, because regardless of who we bring to the team, we're bringing in a cheap player. Like, Alex Texier might be the most expensive player on Team France, and he's like $1 million. And then when it comes to Team Italy, we're bringing in somebody for like $775K. So if we land on one of those two countries, we save money regardless. Now, Mo Seider was definitely the right pickup because the Waterloo World are finishing with a 6-75-1 record. But how on earth did Vegas make the postseason, finishing 23rd in the entire league? Okay, that makes absolutely no sense, but you know what? We're not going to question it. I guess the Pacific Division's absolute buns, but we already knew that. The Pacific Division is the worst division in hockey right now. You can't argue with me about that. It is just facts. Mikko Rantanen, 40 goals, 42 helpers for 82 points. So our first point of game player. Connor McDavid, 79 points. Murray Nature, 69 points. Having all three of those guys playing the top line together is definitely the right decision. Meanwhile, Jesper Wallstedt, amazing numbers this season. Even a goals against below 5, you're definitely the guy for us. I have full faith in Jesper Wallstedt moving forward. There was a little bit of me that was questioning whether or not an 85 overall could be our guy, but based on how Jesper Wallstedt's performed so far in this video, he can definitely be our man. So we might not have the most cap space in the world, but we do have a good foundation we can build around. Team USA is not really the team I want here. We're going to get the player I want, but they're not the team I want here because of how much cap space we have remaining. So we're going to be bringing one of the best in the game to our team. Like, I have no issue with this player whatsoever. I don't even have an issue with their cap hit because 95 overall Quinn Hughes is an amazing addition to the team. We're going to be left with $14 million in cap space, and that is not ideal. There are still a lot of players we need to bring to the team, so paying Quinn Hughes as much money as we are, not really the greatest thing in the world. But you know what? Considering everyone else on this team, we're definitely getting the best deal possible, so I can't really be hating too much. So Quinn Hughes are brought in to lead our defense. You're the offensive defenseman we've been looking for. You, Mo Seider, and Nemec are definitely a great defense. As long as we continue to bring in some cheap players, we're going to be all right. Now, Quinn Hughes, you are a game changer for this franchise. We're looking at 12 wins this season, a 12-68-2 record, almost 2 goals per game as well. Nobody's going to be able to stop this team in the future. Until we reach the future, though, we're still going to be a mid-team, one of the worst in the entire league. Connor McDavid dominated. Nathan McKinnon was pretty solid as well. Quinn Hughes, I can't really complain about what you did. did. But yeah, this team is slowly getting better, but they're not quite good enough yet. We are a long ways away from winning a Stanley Cup, but I do believe we have a lot of our core pieces. Jesper Wallstedt, you're looking like an absolute superstar in between the pipes. Once I put a better team in front of you, we're going to be able to win a Stanley Cup with you. The Ottawa Senators are Stanley Cup champions, taking down the LA Kings. I feel like the LA Kings have made it to the Stanley Cup final a lot in this video. Don't really know what to think about that, but yeah, shout out to the Kings, I guess. However, with Kevin Fiala done for the season, that team is going to be in very, very tough. We're going to be landing on Team Italy, and this is where we're going to save a lot of money, because I think the player we're bringing in is only going to be getting paid like $775K. Now, Team Italy, you're going to help us, but you're also not helping us, because we're not going to be able to walk away with a superstar. However, we definitely will save money here, and I believe we're going to go with Larkin, a 67 overall defensive defenseman. I know for a fact he's on Team Italy. I believe he's probably the best option we can go with here. Larkin, welcome to the team. I mean, there is technically one other player we could go with. We could go with Matt Bradley because he is on Italy's Olympic team. He is one overall higher, and I feel like that makes a bit more sense because I don't really want our defense being really weak here. So Matt Bradley, we're going to go with you, and you're going to eventually play some fourth line minutes. For now, though, you're going to be playing in the top six. So here's what our top six is looking like. Connor McDavid, Mikko Rantanen, Marty Necas. Nico Hischier is going to be playing some good second line minutes. Teddy Bluger, you can be a good enough second line player. Matt Bradley, play your role here. Eventually, you will be replaced. Now, Matt Bradley, you actually helped way more than expected because we scored 2.16 goals per game this season. That means we were over a goal per game. I wasn't expecting that. Matt Bradley was the difference maker. I might have been hating on him a little bit too much. I was saying he was going to move down the lineup. Maybe not, because he stepped up. 18 goals, 7 assists for 25 points. He had more goals than Teddy Bluger. He had more goals than Nico Hischier, and he even had more goals than Quinn Hughes. Granted, Quinn Hughes is a defenseman, but still, more goals than Nico Hischier, that is crazy. One of these players is an 88 overall. The other is a 68 overall. No, Matt Bradley was low-key locked in this season. Jesper Wallstedt, the numbers are fantastic like usual, but shout out to Matt Bradley. Who would have thought he would be stepping up for us? Who would have thought he would be picking up more goals than Nico Hischier? Certainly not me. The Washington Capitals are Stanley Cup champions, taking down the Edmonton Oilers. I think we could use another superstar, but in saying that, we don't really have the money for a superstar. At the end of the day, we'll just have to find a way to make it work. We'll have to find a way to bring a superstar to the team, and you know what? This works out really well. Team Canada has more than enough superstars. The real question is, do we just bring in Macklin Celebrini? Now, we only have $14 million left in cap space, so if we were to bring a guy like Nathan McKinnon to the team, then we're only looking at entry-level players for the rest of this video, and I don't think we can do that. So we're going to go ahead and bring Macklin Celebrini to the team. He's a 93 overall. Yeah, we can't pass up on Celebrini. A 93 overall on their entry-level deal, that's a no-brainer. Yes, he's not quite as good as Nathan McKinnon, but a 93 overall for $950K, why not? So another player has been brought into our top six, 93 overall Celebrini. I actually want you playing on the top line. These are the lines we're running this season. Mikko Rantanen, Connor McDavid, Macklin Celebrini, Teddy Bluger, Nico Hischier, Marty Necas, Matt Bradley. You're moving down to the bottom six. We still have a handful of players we need to replace, but I think we have a lot of good pieces here. The core is really set. We're just filling in the bottom six guys and the third pairing defense. I mean, I guess there is a second pairing defenseman we have to replace, but we'll worry about that later. Now, with the addition of Macklin Celebrini, expectations are through the roof for our team. So Waterloo completely folded. Only 14 wins this season, 2.16 goals per game. What were y'all even doing? I gave you Macklin Celebrini. He replaced a 0 overall player. You guys then proceed to play worse this season, and you know why that is? It's because Matt Bradley wasn't playing top 6 minutes. If Matt Bradley was in the top 6, none of this would have happened. Shout out to Jesper Wallstedt for finally picking up a shutout. Took quite a long time, but I guess he finally did it. But yeah, this season was an absolute disaster. Colorado, congrats on winning the Stanley Cup, but we have to go get another star. As much as I say we need to get another star though, we just don't have the cap space for another star. We're looking at Team Czechia once again. Dave Pastrnak, I don't know if we can afford you, but we might have to find a way. Okay, so I think there is a very good possibility you guys hate me with this next coming selection. So when it comes to who we're going to bring in from Czechia, it's not Dave Pastrnak, it's not Hronek, it's not Tomáš Hertl, it is not any of these players right here. Who is it going to be? Jan Ruda. We are going to go with Jan Ruda because he is the cheapest player available here. He's an 82 overall. He can play good defensive minutes. Currently, he's not in the NHL, so that means when we bring him to the team, we're going to be looking at less than $1 million. And less than $1 million for an 82 overall is actually a pretty good pickup. So that's who we're going with. We're going with Jan Ruda over David Pastrnak. That is quite the decision. Now, I don't think you guys expected to see Jan Ruda today, but in order to stay under the salary cap, he's actually a very valuable player. An 82 overall, getting paid $775K. 25k. That's what we're looking for. We just want cheap players like that. We only have a handful more players to bring to the team, and with 2 of our 3 defensive pairings complete, I think we can win at least 20 games this season. Celebrini, I'm also moving you down the lineup because you didn't really fit well alongside Connor McDavid and Mikko Rantanen, so we'll see how things go this season. Now, Jan Ruda, you're right up there with Matt Bradley, because what you did with this franchise, it's unbelievable. We were 32nd in the entire league, so still dead last, but 25 wins. Nashville had 28 wins. We're not that far off of being the second worst team in the entire league. Like, we're really locked in right now. The Waterloo World scored 2.38 goals per game this season. Still not that great, but we took the next step, and Jan Ruda was the guy that helped us do it. Mikko Rantanen, 49 goals and 103 points this season. He even had a positive plus-minus. Connor McDavid had a positive plus-minus. Marty Natchez had a positive plus-minus. Celebrini, you have to play second-line minutes for the rest of this video. Mikko Rantanen, McDavid, and Marty Natchez are just locked in together. Jesper Wallstedt was an absolute stud this season. I questioned this man for a little bit. I no longer question him. He's our guy. The LA Kings made it to another Stanley Cup final, winning another Stanley Cup as well. The LA Kings are just built different, I guess. Like, why on earth is that team winning so many Stanley Cups and making it to so many Stanley Cup finals? I have no clue. We're landing on Team Latvia. Gergensons, I guess you're the next guy we go with. So Gergensons, you're the best option available, so we're just going to keep this one really simple. You're going to be the guy we're bringing to the team. Obviously, you're not going to be a superstar for us, but you're definitely not the worst player here. I mean, Bolinski's, we could bring you in. You're an 81 overall, and you really wouldn't be that bad of a defenseman. You're on a cheap contract as well. Maybe we go with you over Gergensons. I feel like that kind of makes a little bit of sense. So yeah, we're going to do that. Gergensons, we're passing up on you. Bolinski's, we're bringing you to the team. So our defense is just about complete. We do need one more elite left defenseman, but once we bring that to the team, then we're going to be set. Ideally, I think we land on Slovakia again, and then we can bring in Martin Feravari, and then once we do that, we're going to be set. Filling out the bottom 6 is going to be relatively easy. Right now, our team is looking incredibly elite, but we could use a couple more superstars. You know what? I'm actually tired of saying that. Why am I saying every season we need a superstar? We need a superstar this, we need a superstar that. We don't have the money for a superstar. So how about we just bring in a slightly above average player who's on a really good contract? I think that would work as well. So heading into this season, we had one goal: be the second worst team in the entire league. Now, was that possible for us this season? It doesn't look like it. We're still dead last. We were dead last by 9 points, a 28, 48, and 6 record, 2.66 goals per game. We're getting close. We're getting very close to being the second worst team in the entire league. McDavid dominated this season, 122 points. Mikko Rantanen was amazing as well. Truthfully, it was just our top 3. Without these top 3 guys, we probably don't even win 15 games this season. They were lighting the lamp. When it comes to Jesper Wallstedt's numbers, he had 18 wins, 40 losses, 5 OT losses. But look at Freddie Anderson, a 10-9-1 record with 2 shows. He had a 928 and a 301. Nah, he should have been our starter the entire year. For how Freddie Anderson played, we should have played him a little bit more. He should have been the number 1. And if he played like that the entire season as the number 1, we might have been able to get into the postseason. The Montreal Canadiens are Stanley Cup champions. Hopefully that's going to be us in just a matter of spins. So it's time for us to give the wheel another spin. Hopefully we can land on a country we haven't seen yet. And it looks like that's the case. We're landing on Team France. Texier, I think you're really the only option. I guess there is Belmar, but I think we're going to go with Texier. So Team France has very few players that we can select from, but I think I've made it pretty clear who we're going to be going with. Texier, you're the number 1 guy for us. I do believe you're the highest overall, and it looks like it. You're getting paid $1 million right now by the Montreal Canadiens, so this contract works perfectly for us. We still have $11 million in cap space. We don't have too many more players we have to bring to the team, so maybe we could bring in one more superstar. So we're 5 players away from completing this team. But you know what? There is one major issue we have to address. Texier is playing top 6 minutes for us right now. We can't have that moving forward. So we need to find out how to bring in an elite second line player and an elite second pairing defenseman with the remaining money that we have. I do believe it is possible because we could definitely bring in a really good player for like $4 million. Where are we going to find that $4 million player? Well, that's a completely different question. So Texier was brought to the team to replace a 0 overall. I want you guys to all remember that. He is replacing a 0 overall. He then made us worse. We won 25 games this season. So we're going to pretend this season didn't happen. We're going to pretend Texier didn't completely destroy this team. In saying that, he did have 20 goals and 20 assists. So it's not like he was complete buns. But but he kind of made us buns because we completely fell off from last season. The Winnipeg Jets are Stanley Cup champions. Spin the wheel. Nothing else has to be said. Like Alex Texier, you dragged this team down. You somehow made us just complete garbage. I'm not too sure how you did that. We're going to be bringing in a player from Switzerland. There's not a ton of options to work with, but we should be able to find something. Now, I've been talking about how we could use another good left defenseman on the team. Well, we might have just found that left defenseman. Roman Yossi's available here, and he would make a lot of sense for us. However, if we take Roman Yossi, we're left with $2 million. So I don't think we can actually do that. Siegenthaler, on the other hand, gives us $8 million remaining. I don't hate that. Siegenthaler would fit the role perfectly. He's a left defenseman that we could desperately use. Siegenthaler, welcome to the team. You're the final piece to our defense. So I have no questions about our defense. Like, I think we've constructed a really good defense here. No weaknesses whatsoever. What I am concerned about is the forward core, because outside of these top guys, why are these the lines? Hold on, let me change these. We want Marty Necas, Connor McDavid, and Mikko Rantanen together. Why did they want Rantanen playing center minutes? I have no clue, but these are the lines I want to run. I do want to bring in a better right winger, but we'll address that later. But in reality, we really don't have too much time to address that, so we better do it pretty quick. Now, we've been waiting for this moment for a long time now. The time where we're not the worst team in the entire league, and not only were we not the worst, we weren't the second worst, the third worst, or even the fourth worst. We were the fifth worst team in the entire league, 28th for the Waterloo World, a 37, 38, and 7 record, 3.34 goals per game. That's going to put us in the upper half for sure. We ended up having a top 10 offense this season. Yeah, once we replace Alex Texier on the second line, nobody's going to be able to stop the Waterloo World. We are going to be taking over the league. Nobody's going to be able to stop this team. Look at what Mikko Rantanen did. Look at Connor McDavid. Look at Celebrini. Look at Marty Necas. All of these guys stepped up big time for us. We don't need any more superstars on this team. We just need guys that can fill their role. Jesper Wallstedt, you're a superstar. Freddie Anderson, you know what you have to do. Once this team has their opportunity in the postseason, no one's going to be able to stop them. They're going to seize the opportunity, and they're going to win a Stanley Cup the first year they make the playoffs. Now, I might be gassing things a little bit too much, but I do believe we could put a lot of pressure on a lot of great teams. We're landing on Slovakia, and that's actually a bit of a shame here, because Martin Feravari would have been perfect, but we don't need a defenseman anymore. And in reality, there's only one man left from Slovakia we can go with. And of course, I'm not talking about Slafkovsky. Dalibor Dvorsky, welcome to the team. So Dalibor Dvorsky, welcome to the team. Unfortunately, you're not on the international roster in this game, so I actually have to go over to the St. Louis Blues to add you. But that's neither here nor there. Dvorsky is going to be a great player. He's going to play an important role on this team. They have him as a 79 overall. Of course, that's incredibly disrespectful. He should at least be an 82. Now, but in all reality, he probably should be an 82 overall. Like, respectfully, why is Robbie Fabry 1 overall higher than Dvorsky? What are we doing here? As much as I like Robbie Fabry, Dvorsky probably should be at least the same overall as him. Now, Dalibor Dvorsky, you've looked incredible so far in the Olympics. You've picked up a handful of points with Slovakia. You and Slafkovsky led your country to #1 in your group. You're absolutely dominating right now. The world should never question you. You've put yourself on the map, and people are going to start putting a lot more respect on your name. Dalibor Dvorsky is looking like a future superstar. Am I gassing him up a little bit too much? Probably, but he's a stick on the ice legend, and he's a St. Louis Blue legend. Okay, maybe a St. Louis Blue legend stretching it quite a bit because he really hasn't played that many games with us, but this man will eventually be a star. Now, Waterloo, I wasn't expecting you guys to make the postseason, and you didn't make the postseason, so you lived up to expectations this season. I don't think you had quite as good of a record this season. A 34, 38, and 10 record doesn't really look that great, and then 3.12 goals per game. I do know your offense took a bit of a step back, but you know what? We don't have to worry about that moving forward. Dalibor Dvorsky, you played your role on this team. You did exactly what you had to, but regardless of what country we land on, when it comes to our next spin, we're bringing in a star player. I'm going to bring in a star player. I don't care if our bottom six is really weak moving forward. I think we need one more star here. We're going to try to find a star, regardless of what their cap hit is. We're going to bring them to the team. I don't care if we need to run 3 guys whose cap hits are only 775k on our 4th line. I don't care if we have 60 overalls on the 4th line. One more superstar will be enough for us to win a Stanley Cup. So this is going to be the biggest spin of the video. This is going to decide who our next superstar is going to be. It looks like they're going to be coming from Team USA. The only issue I have with Team USA is a lot of guys on their team are getting paid quite a bit of money. So it turns out this next selection is actually very easy. When it comes to Team USA, who are we going with? We're going with Kyle Connor. For some reason, I completely forgot his contract kicks in next season and not this season. So this season, he's only getting paid $7 million. That puts us over the salary cap. Okay, we actually can't do this, but maybe we can. Let me remove some of the 0 overalls on this team. If I remove a couple of the 0 overalls, That frees up money for us. So let me go ahead and actually remove a handful of these 0 overall players. I just freed up $7 million. Okay, the cap situation on this team wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was. Maybe I should have been doing this from the very beginning. If I add a player to the team, I have to remove a player from the team. Because through doing all of this right here, look how much cap space we now have. We're talking $13 million. It's actually going to be more than that. But after I remove all the 0 overall players necessary, $16.9 million. So I actually could have went with Slafkovsky and we would have been perfectly fine. But now that we know that moving forward, we will bring in some more superstars. Now, but in all seriousness, I actually feel like the biggest idiot on earth. Like, I should have just been removing these 0 overalls since day number 1. But in my head, I was thinking these guys aren't actually going to be in the lineup. They're just going to be sent to the AHL, so they're actually not going to affect our cap situation. However, that doesn't take effect until we move into season mode. When we're just constructing our team, it's telling me the cap hit of everyone on our roster. That includes the players that would be in the AHL. So we actually have $16 million in cap space. We have passed over a lot of superstars in order to build this team right here. You know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. We've still built an incredibly elite team. We're looking to win a Stanley Cup this season. We finally have the top 6 we've been looking for. Now it's time for everyone to put it all together. That is an L stick on the ice moment right there. One of the biggest L's I've taken. I completely forgot it was factoring in every player's contract when looking at the roster and not just those that would play in the NHL for us. So yeah, that's a tough look. No, Kyle Connor, you were the missing piece. The missing piece we've been looking for, but apparently it's still not enough. We missed the playoffs once again, a 41-34-7 record. I think we had the best offense in the entire game. It doesn't look like it. The second best offense. We were 2 goals back of the LA Kings for the best offense. Waterloo will make the playoffs next season. Next season is going to be where we take the next step and dominate the NHL. I've been saying that for years at this point, but we eventually have to do so. But it will be a lot easier now that we understand we have cap space, and we have enough cap space where if we want to bring Nathan McKinnon to the team, we could do so. That is how much cap space we have right now, and that is how much cap space I didn't realize we had. Toronto's winning the Stanley Cup. Yeah, give me a superstar here. I don't care who the superstar is. Let's just find one. Like, now that I understand how much cap space we have, this is significantly easier. Wow, we actually landed on Team Canada. All right, Nathan McKinnon, welcome to the team. So with the $17 million we have, we're going to head over to Team Canada, and we're going to bring one of the best in the league to the team. Nathan McKinnon, welcome. And after bringing in Nathan McKinnon, we can actually get rid of one of our 0 overall players. So that's going to leave us with $5.3 million for our final player. That should be more than enough. So no more disappointments, no more failing. This is the best team we've seen yet. I know we have a couple weak points on the 4th line, but that's beside the point. This team is ready to win. This team's ready to dominate. They're ready to bring home a Stanley Cup. Now it's Waterloo's time. It's their time to take over the NHL. First in the entire league with a 52-23-7 record. We had the best offense and a mid defense. We're going to ignore the defensive numbers. That's beside the point. This team's locked in. Nathan McKinnon 109 points, Mikko Rantanen 103 points, Connor McDavid 103, Kyle Connor 82. So we ourselves 4-point-a-game scorers with 3 of them having over 100 points. We are heavily reliant on our top 6. Our top 6 is what's going to have to lead us to a Stanley Cup here. Jesper Wallstedt, I believe in you. You have proven you're the guy. When I originally brought you to this team, I was doubting you a little bit. No more. I'm not doubting you anymore. I know you can be the guy. So I have more than enough faith in the Waterloo world. I know this team can step up when it matters. This team cannot step up, except maybe they can. Those first 2 games were tough, but after those 2 games we've locked in, we're now facing elimination. You know what? I probably shouldn't say anything. However, I will say something because we're moving into Game 6, and Game 6 is going to be important. We're picking up the first 2 goals. We actually picked up the first 3 goals. Toronto has made this a 2-goal game, so they could make the comeback in this one. That's not going to be the case. Nemec's picking up a late one, and we have Game 7. So we have ourselves Game 7 against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I know for a fact this team is going to put some pressure on us, but I think we can step up when it matters most. So far, it's been a scoreless game, so the third period's likely going to decide this game. Who is going to step up when it matters? Well, it looks like it's going to be Connor McDavid. Connor McDavid's going to be tying this game up after Chris Tanev picked up the first goal of the game. We're heading into overtime, and who's going to be our OT hero? Nobody. All right, who is going to be the double OT hero? Mo Seider stepping up when it matters, and we're moving on to the second round. Shout out to Jesper Wallstedt for making 46 saves in this one. Without that man, we would have been eliminated. When the lights were the brightest, Jesper Wallstedt stepped up big time, but it's not going to be easy moving forward. We now have the Tampa Bay Lightning up next, and Tampa Bay is likely going to dominate us, but maybe not. I thought they were going to smoke us because of our weak bottom 6, but maybe that's not the case. We're taking them down, and we're moving on to the conference conference finals. We have the Philadelphia Flyers up next. No clue how Philly's made to the conference finals, but we can't question this team, except we absolutely can because we're in the Stanley Cup final now. Only one team to beat, and that team is going to be the Dallas Stars. Can we find a way to take down the Dallas Stars in a sweep? It doesn't look like it, but we have a 3-1 series lead, and all we have to do is win one more game, and that's what the Waterloo World is going to do. In our first postseason appearance, we're Stanley Cup champions. We still had like $5 million in cap space, but I guess that doesn't matter. We're Stanley Cup champions, and we did it with a 0 overall on the team. Like, we can't forget about that. We have a 0 overall player on this team. McKinnon, McDavid, Kyle Connor, Mikko Rantanen, Macklin Salbrini, Marty Necas, all of you guys were amazing, but there was a 0 overall on this team. Mike Nolan was minus 13. Dalibor Dvorsky, because you were tied in with Mike Nolan, you're minus 10. And Matt Bradley, because you were tied in with Mike Nolan, you're going to be minus 8. So somehow with this atrocious 4th line right here, we still found a way to come out on top. But truthfully, the main reason we came out on top, Jesper Wallstedt. He stepped up time and time again for us. 16 wins, 1 shutout, a 914 to 283. Just like that, we're Stanley Cup champions with the Waterloo World. We started with a team consisting of only 0 overall players, and we used Winter Olympic athletes to build our Stanley Cup team. And not only were we able to stay under the salary cap, we actually did it with a 0 overall on the team. Not very often am I able to accomplish that feat.